Welcome back, everybody. This is Edwin, the Magic Engineer, and I'm here with my new friend, Jesper Ejsing, who is an actual official Wizards of the Coast artist who's done just amazing artwork, and I follow the guy on Instagram and on Facebook and just drool over his artwork all the time. So, Jesper, how's it going, man?
Hi, it's going good, thanks. Yeah, I'm here to talk today about my new deck. New is perhaps a strange word because it is an old school deck. I play old school in 93, 94, and I play I think it's the Swedish rules. That means we have no mana burn, we have only one strip mine, and we don't play Fallen Empire. So it's I bet it's a little bit slightly different from what you play, but you and I started this conversation because I asked you for advice on Sideboard, and we started talking about the deck, and I made some changes to it, and now I want to show you what it ended up becoming.
Yeah, so I just love it that we've actually got old original players finding their way into old school and kind of rediscovering that original passion. So I was really excited when I found out that you were actually an old school enthusiast and you were actually building decks. And then it was you started chatting with me a while ago, back when I was doing all those turbostasis videos and stuff. And I was like, wow, this guy like he actually plays. He actually knows what he's talking about. Because so many people they only have so much involvement from the outside, but they don't really get into it, right? But no, this dude actually plays. So yeah.
But I built the same deck that you built, the Stasis deck, and I went to old school is pretty new for me. I played old school when it was just called Magic, and I just played with the cards, like in '94, I guess. And then I had a huge, like a break away from the game, and then I remember the day when I got the first Magic art assignment, and I went down to the store and bought some booster packs, and I hadn't played for like 5 or 6 years at that time, but I was looking through, looking at the art to see what the competition was like, or to get a feel for how the game has changed. And after 1 or 2 boosters, I noticed that I was reading the text instead of looking at the art, and I was just like, oh no, I'm back to deck building again. Yeah. And after that, I did Magic art in 2005. I think I started when the Lorwyn block came out. And Wizards send you free products. So I just dived right back into deck building again. Yeah. So I dug out my own collection and started playing a lot of Magic again. Actually, the whole old school changed. I came into that actually after seeing your post about the Stasis deck. Oh, really? This is the deck I used to play when I played in '94. So I went out and got a hold of a Time Vault. That was the only one I missed. And I went into my first old school tournament, and they beat the crap out of me.
Sorry about that.
Your deck list was fine, but maybe I didn't pilot it that well.
It's hard to pilot that one correctly. I keep telling people that because if you misplay with your boomerangs and stuff, you gotta take the absolute max advantage of every situation, and it's so easy to throw away your best spells for very minimal gains, when if you just waited a turn or 2 later, you could have just locked them down with it, right?
But I think I actually won all the first matches with the Stasis deck, but every time the second game came on and people sideboarded against it, and I'm still not very good at sideboarding, so I couldn't keep up with the second and third game.
I'm still working on that myself with the deck, because there is so much hate out there. And it's worse than that. It's not just that there's a lot of hate, it's the default hate. People already have Red Elemental Blasts, Energy Flux, Hurkyl's Recall, Disenchant. All these just cards that rip apart my strategy are just built in their sideboard. And so it is a very good deck for game 1. But it's almost just like you said, when game 2 happens, I have to anticipate the way that they're going to sideboard, and so you might have noticed on some of my other deck lists, I don't know if I showed you actually, but I had ATOGs that I'd put into the sideboard,
and you were pretty you switch the whole deck around after in the second game.
Yeah, you have to, because like just like you noticed, like they come in with so much armament that. So what I looked at, like the ATOG, I think was a great sideboard because they notice on game 1 I have no creatures, and so all their Swords to Plowshares and stuff like that, they're all like dead cards. So a lot of times they'll board those out for game 2 and just bring in the artifact destruction. Then you drop an ATOG on the table, and they're unprepared for it because they might have one plow or none of them left in their deck. So it's like you've again left them with like dead cards and like unpreparedness. So the trick of the Stasis deck is that you catch them off guard, and that actually is the way that I play it as well. I have cards in my hand because they always have to be worried that I'm either going to counter or I'm going to drop a Stasis. And if I can keep them with that little bit of reservation and not going full aggression against me, that's how I can normally like get my best opportunity to look for a moment when I could just instill the lock, right?
Yeah. But I love to play like that. I like the Stasis deck a lot.
Oh, so thank you. That's really that's so cool that brought you in.
I built this deck was kind of to have something kind of similar. Like I was always very enthusiastic when looking at deck lists, and I saw the Parfait version, and your deck was kind of like a very. It had Parfait similarities.
Yeah.
So if I can show you the deck I built, so we can talk about.
Yeah, please. Yeah. What's the name of your deck, by the way? What do you call it?
I call it the Dream Parfait.
The Dream Parfait. Okay, I like that.
And I've got to say that originally this deck was not completely invented by me. It was Allan Asmussen, the national champion here in Denmark, who made it. I did make some changes though. Together with him, I've been testing the last couple of days, and I think it works better now.
Okay.
So let me walk you through the body of the deck. Can you guys see this now?
Yeah, that comes in pretty good. No, the sides are cut off, so about where the Time Twister is.
Yeah, but I think what I want to start with is I have the full package of Howling Minds, and I have 3 Relic Barriers. They go so well together.
Wow, 3 of them. That's a lot.
And I have 2 Icy Manipulators and 2 Window Orbs.
Okay.
So this is the Parfait part of the deck.
Okay.
And then the most of the winning strategy is through the 3 Underworld Dreams. They go so well with Howling Mind.
That's very interesting that you chose 3. I'll be asking questions about that later.
Yes. Of course, they go super well together with these 2 buddies.
Oh yeah.
They're just fantastic. I have a full control package. Not a full, but I have 3 plows and 3 disenchants.
Do you find that based on having those Howling Minds, you don't necessarily need more because you dig into them so efficiently?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the reason. I got all the blue control that we need, all the free power cards.
Okay.
The Mana Drain and Ring Geyser.
Yeah. There's the orb. I'm sure that's key. It's just such a get out of jail free card.
And here comes the fun things. I have 1 Abyss and 1 There's Glare and 1 Balance. I got these 2 Demonic Tutors. And this was your suggestion, and I've been so happy with the Transmute artifact.
It's a great card.
It's so good to find the artifacts I need in a spot. So this package, Transmute, was my was the one I played, and it's the second last addition I made to the deck. I'm just gonna walk through the last pack here. So there's a couple of artifacts.
Yeah.
For man, the Felvar Stones are really good to use Transmute on.
Absolutely.
And I've got Lotus and the Moxes.
Okay.
And here comes my addition to the deck, except from Transmute. So I was a bit annoyed that I played with no creatures.
Yeah.
And I chose these one because I got a hold of a workshop, and we can only play 1 workshop over here.
Right.
But the workshop works so good with this card.
For sure.
And the Abyss works fantastically with Suchi.
Right.
So So this here is my aggressive version of the Parfait part of the deck, and I know there's a lot of things that are a bit weak. I mean, the balance is a bit weaker with sushi.
Right. Because you allow them to keep their really good creature.
Yeah, and I have no way of syncing the 4 mana into something. I don't have a tome, or I don't have anything else. But that doesn't matter, because sometimes I can get a sushi into play in turn 1 with a workshop and a mox, and that's just pressure that is super hard to compete against.
Right.
And as soon as I get this one down, I have a creature I can go with. I'm just gonna turn the camera up again.
Okay. So I definitely have some comments and questions, but if you're still going for it, keep going.
No, I think what I really like about the deck now is that, like you said, there's a lot of free offs in the deck, where the usual Parfait deck has a lot of 4 offs. It has 4 plows and 4 disenchants. But I rarely need more than 3 of each. So maybe I should go to the sideboard, because in my sideboard I have 4 red blasts, because what I'm most afraid of is energy flux. Energy flux will kill my deck.
Yes.
I got 2 of these because Blood Moon will also kind of makes my deck a little bit difficult.
Yeah, you're 3 colors, so Blood Moon is suddenly a huge impact.
I got only 1 basic land, so that'll ruin me. But then I have 1 extra of these in case I go up against a creature heavy deck, or like if I go up against the deck, I will add in the extra disenchant.
Mm-hmm.
I also have this one against the deck. I have this one against red players.
Mm-hmm.
I have an extra moat and an extra abyss if I go into a creature heavy combat.
Right.
And the 2 last one is these. I've actually not any good idea for why I chose this, but
well, I think that was something I was suggesting when we were chatting.
I can easily transmute for it if I want it.
Exactly.
It is rarely that I sit with 7 cards in my hand.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask about that.
The games are over way before this is important. So.
Okay.
And the last one is this. I have traded for a Guardian Beast that I will get before the next tournament, and that needs to go in here, because I think the Guardian Beast would be fantastic in this deck after Sideboard. So, last thing is that maybe I should I'm just going to hold up the mana here. So I got a library, a single plane, and 1 strip mine. I got 2 tundras.
So is the what single planes in case you're under a Blood Moon, so you can still fire off a disenchant?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's only because then I can disenchant.
Because you can always ready blast under a Blood Moon, but I guess Blue Elemental Blast is out of range.
Yeah,
if you get Blood Moon.
Yeah.
But maybe your Felwar Stone can get you blue, because they might have
blue.
But
but I find that I often keep the single plane in my hand so that they can't destroy it or anything, and then I play that and disenchant if they have a Blood Moon.
That's very smart.
I got 3 of these scrublands, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
4 of the blue-black, and 4 of these.
Okay. It's a lot of cities.
Yeah, but I need 3 black.
Yes.
For dreams. And that's the only thing that I haven't been up against the land destruction deck yet, but it's a bit heavy to have. Actually, it's a 4-color deck, and I need 3 blacks for the Underworld Dreams, and that's a bit mana heavy. So
I was going to say that I think your deck list has a lot better natural space in the Swedish format than it would in the EC, because the 4 strip mines, along with there's a plethora of Blood Moons that are in our format. That's actually the biggest issue I keep running into with Rug Crazies. But with the 4 strip mines also, like, it's really hard, right?
I imagine that the way that you guys play with 4 strip mines, it's a bit. I think the games tend to draw on a little bit longer than our game does, because no one is just sitting there with an open strip mine waiting. There's not a lot of standoff. It's more. I think most of these games are pretty aggressive, and they're very resolved around round 4 to 5. That's usually where it's make or break, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, so
I don't know if it's like that in your format.
You know, it always has its own kind of form of balancing out. There are games, and I guess the thing that Swedish players hate the most is like a game where everyone's sitting there stripping each other's lands and there's not a lot of interaction. That's valid feedback, and that does happen. But at the same time, another thing that also happens is someone plays an unanswered Library of Alexandria, and it's just like, oh, I get Library, I got 7 cards, I win. That happens, right? I lost a couple of like games in the GP Vegas Championship. In fact, I lost the finals because of that. Because my opponent was playing the deck. He probably drew 7 cards off that Library of Alexandria, and I was tearing him down, but he was able to dig enough to find answers for my creatures, and it was literally the library that pulled him out. And I had 3 strip mines in my deck. I didn't have the 4. But it was that unanswered library that just completely tore me apart.
You know what? We played the national championship 2 weeks ago, where I played this deck, but without the sushi. I had a little bit more controlly version of the deck. In one game, my opponent was drawing 2 cards every round with his Library of Alexandria. And I didn't care because I had 3 Howling Mine and 3 Relic Barriers, and I was drawing 4 cards each turn. I was even dissing him like, hey, I thought Library of Alexandria was good. You're only drawing 2 cards. What's the matter?
Yeah, the Howling Mines changes the setup. You know, you might notice in my Turbo Stasis deck, I don't play Library of Alexandria. Well, part of that is because of the Winter Orb. But the other part is saying exactly the same things you're saying. It's like those Howling Mines are like drinking from the fire hose. You're getting so much, you just can't consume it. You can't deal with the cards. And especially in a mana-restrictive environment, because I've got the Winter Orbs out there and I might stasis them at any point. You know, like it ends up being perfectly okay to give him all those cards.
But that's it's also one of the reasons why I really like playing this deck, is because you get to do so much. I mean, in a lot of games I have a Lotus and a land and a Relic Barrier and a Howling Mine down in turn 1. And then I draw 2 cards every time you draw 1. And that speeds up all the process, right?
Absolutely.
Or if I'm lucky, I can get a Suchi down and play in turn 1. I mean, that's dream play, of course.
You know, one thing that's really nice about your creatures, your Suchis, is people always lament the fact that they can disenchant a Suchi, make you take damage, stuff like that. But there's another side to that coin. A lot of decks only have 3 or 4 disenchants or artifact destruction main deck.
Yeah.
If they waste that artifact destruction on your Suchi, they're not hitting one of the more important cards, in my estimation, in your deck, which is Howling Mine. What they probably need to do is blow up the Howling Mines and ignore the Suchi. But
we shouldn't talk about this before the tournament. But,
sorry.
Right.
Okay, so if you want,
sure if people want to wreck my game plan, they will just disenchant the Howling Mines for sure.
You know, so if you want, I could either wait to post this video, or I could go boop and just beep it right when we get to that part if you want.
No, it doesn't matter. I already spoiled all of it. Please put it out as soon as you can.
Okay.
But I think you're totally right. I mean, I played some games where the opponent was playing 4 disenchants, and it didn't matter because I drew into more cards faster than he could disenchant them. I had more enchantment and artifacts that he was able to deal with. So the games that I lost were an unanswered energy flux in turn 2 or 3.
Right.
That was more or less my worst problem. That's why I sideboarded those red blasts now.
Yeah, the Suchis I put in my Rug Crazies deck ended up being terrible, and the reason was that, like, I had left my opponent with Rug Crazies. Their disenchants are pretty ineffective against me, and their Swords to Plowshares, a lot of their removal and stuff was like not as effective because I was trying to overwhelm them. But as soon as I put the Suchis in there, now like their Shatters and their disenchants suddenly became useful, and so they were already using their Swords to Plowshares like on my other creatures, the Serendeebs and stuff. And then they would just use the disenchant on the Suchi. So instead of leaving them with dead cards, I left them with like something that was effective. But in a deck like yours, it's actually very effective, and you actually almost want them to waste their removal on that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
but it's also like one of my friends said that the free Suchi, they give me an extra way of winning in case something else fails. and it's an extra thing people gotta deal with. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of people here, if they play Control or if you play the deck, they play 2 Abyss, and I don't care about Abyss. It doesn't affect my sushis. So Moat will destroy me, of course, but I can win, and I don't care if you stack up on defenses with Moat and all that. I'm just gonna kill you with Underworld Dreams.
So I do have to ask though. I mean, we chatted about this before over the messenger. So I like Suchi, but have you tested with Triskelion yet?
No, and the reason is I think it's too slow. I haven't tried it, but I think it's too slow because
it is slow.
I can put down a Suchi in turn 1 if lucky, or
sure.
most time in turn 2 or 3 if I'm not already setting up the Howling Mine Relic Barrier. But I think it's too slow in our format. I mean, a lot of people are just shooting you and attacking with attacks and destroying you way before that's possible.
So I would recommend at least trying, I mean, maybe not just jumping into a tournament with it, but at least for some games, because the Triskelion, he's surprised me. I can't tell you how many times I've had the same thought. He's too expensive. I'd rather get something out quick, like a Juggernaut or a Suchi. But then that Triskelion, man, being able to remove those damage counters, that is huge. You know, the Juggernaut has the huge disadvantage of always having to attack. The Suchi constantly causes you to like get burned for mana, right? You know, when like he gets blown up at an inopportune time. The Triskelion doesn't suffer those problems, but even more important is those little points of damage sometimes can be enormous. Because there's moments where an opponent, like that one little point of directable damage, even just one of those counters can mean the game. Because they'll put out something that like I need to answer. Like I've had times where like, you know, because I had a Triskelion, the other guy could not like Bloodlust Berserk his creature, because as soon as he Bloodlusts, I'll just plink that thing and just knock it right off the table for 1 point. Or times where like my opponent has me locked and like a Moat or something, and I can't get my damage through, and I'll play the Triskelion and then throw the points at his face, or I'll play the Triskelion and he disenchants it, so you still throw the points at his face.
Yeah, I like the fact that you can still shoot free no matter what happens.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
You might at least try one in the deck, because then you could even transmute for it if you need directable damage.
Sure. I will try that. I'll definitely, or maybe I should save my sideboard stuff for that, because my dream is to play that in turn 3 or 4 and shoot down 2 Savannah Lions. That would be perfect.
That would be pretty big.
A lot of people play Lions over here. Lion or Flying Men. Flying Men's a fantastic card.
Exactly.
People play all the time.
Yeah, if you're shooting down 1/1s, I mean, you can go like 4 for 1 with that card potentially, because you could blow 3 off the table and still have a 1/1 guy swinging or blocking.
I think I'll maybe I can just test it with remove one of the Sushi and add a Triskelion and see how that goes. That's a good idea.
He's very surprising.
I think a lot of the cards that I removed to make room for the Sushi was Regrowth and Recall, and I had 1 Power Sink that I removed. And the reason was that after the first tournament, they felt too slow. And I think that's strange to say that they're too slow, because they're super good cards.
Yes.
But and even Recall will be perfect in this deck, because I draw so many cards, I can easily drop down a couple and replace them. But it was still like a turn where I did a setup for the next turn, and it's too slow. Yeah. I mean, most of the games that I won directly was through setting up my defenses, drawing a lot of cards, playing an Underworld Dreams, and the round after playing another Underworld Dreams and playing Wheel of Fortune and dealing 14 damage.
Yeah.
And then sometimes people didn't even die from that, but if I had 1 or 2 Howling Mines in play, they would die in the next turn. So that was mostly how I won. But now that I've added the Sushi, I can attack from a lot of different angles, and that makes it even. It means that I don't necessarily have to win through double Underworld Dreams and Wheel or Twister. Yeah. And that's really a difference, because now, like I said, I attack the life total from different angles, and that means a lot.
Yeah, I hear it. You know, also you said something I really want to key off of. You said that this deck is more fun to play because it has options. That is exactly how I feel about my vintage deck, that Gift Slaver deck. It's, I would say it's hands down my most favorite deck to play in all of Magic, in all the history I've ever played Magic. And that is the exact reason, because it has the tools to go do things, and I can ebb and flow with whatever the game situation is, right? And when I hit like aggro creature decks or something that's just throwing damage at my face, I'll get that Platinum Angel and put her in play. And like I now don't have to care about any damage they're throwing at me. I only have to protect her. Or when people try to lock the board state down real well, you know, if I can like fire off just one Mindslaver, I can wreck their board state so badly. It's got the ability to play defensive, and it can go offensive, and it also has that counter magic when it needs it. So it's exactly like you said. Like the deck is so dynamic that it's amazing. And most of the time when I build Magic decks, you kind of like sometimes go for like whatever your strategy is, you go all in on that strategy. And that's effective, but it means like you're playing the same game all the time. So finding a Magic deck that's good at what it does, but versatile, that's kind of like, that's like heaven for me in Magic personally.
Yeah, but I think also, I mean, I think for Alan, who started designing this deck, it was built off of the deck with added the Parfait and elements. So it still had a lot of the deck control, and that's more and more what I've been taking a little bit out, because I think in the end, in the beginning, I had free counter spells because I thought I needed it, and now that I skimmed the deck down to make room for the sushi, I think it runs even more smoothly, and with the workshop, because I think if I draw 3 cards a turn, I don't need counter spells. I'll overwhelm you with card advantage.
Yeah,
and I actually think the best matchup I have is against the deck or other control-y decks, because they usually try to win through card advantage too, and you can. But
you just overwhelm them.
You want. I have Underworld Rings.
Oh, Jesper, that's beautiful, because that's so on point. The way that the deck loses is the deck gets overwhelmed, and that's what people sometimes like that are new to that format don't realize, because it sometimes feels like the deck always has a counterspell or it always has a disenchant. But the truth is they only have a few in the deck. And what they need to do is hold you down long enough until they can build those up in their hand. So like the strategy for beating the deck is literally to just hit them so hard with something that they can't stop it. And so you're completely on point. That's what your deck does.
But it's also it's really, really hard to keep up with someone who because my artifacts come down so fast, so that usually I haven't lost to the deck yet.
Wow,
I think
that's quite a statement.
Yeah, with this deck.
Yeah,
I think when I started playing old school, I thought, okay, what's the best deck around? It's the deck. I'll build that.
It's the gold standard. Brian Weissman. There you go, man.
Yeah, but I lost so much because I was terrible at piloting the deck, and I was not experienced enough at all. So I just got tired of losing to it. But now that I play something else, I kind of know what the deck does, and I know what to expect. So I'm just trying to get that Underworld Dreams down very fast, and then start. And if you can, what I like about this deck, like we said, I like a lot about it. But what I like about it is that usually I draw 2 to 3 cards a turn.
Yeah,
if I'm lucky, I
just
can keep
options.
I can keep. It's got me options, but it also got me to find the pieces I need for establishing a better lock or a softer lock faster. So usually I draw many cards with the Relic Barrier, and then I try to catch you off guard, and I either play a Winter Orb or transmute for a Winter Orb at the right moment, and that's usually game winning.
You know, I just realized something. Your deck might feel kind of like Stax does in Vintage, in terms of like how it plays out.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the way Stax just comes out with these big robots and this mana locking environment, and it locks you down and just runs over your face, basically.
Yeah. But what I really like is that when I'm playing it, I come, like I said to you before, I come from a Commander background. And in Commander, I'm so used to just maxing out on your resources. You play all the cards you can. You have so many opponents that you can't just sit there and do nothing. So you have to maximize the abilities of your cards. And that's how I started playing Old School too, and that's why I lost a lot in the beginning. Because in Old School, it's about knowing what your opponent plays a lot. It's about knowing the meta a lot, and I didn't do that. And now that I'm feeling that I have to slow down a little bit or anticipate my opponent a bit more. But that's what I love about this deck. I don't have to anticipate much. I just have to crush him and like overwhelm him. So this feels a lot like I would play if I played Commander. That's why I like this deck a lot. Also because what I like is to be able to adapt to what I'm playing against. And this deck can go, oh, I will try to win through a lock of Icy Manipulator. By the way, when I was playing back in the days, the Icy Manipulator was nicknamed Ejsing Manipulator. Because in my first tournament I played 4 Icy Manipulators and 4 Royal Assassins. And people hated that combo and they were just like, oh, it's the Ejsing Manipulator.
Oh, that's funny. You got attached to it.
If I can go for the Icy Relic Barrier window block, so I can tap down your land, you play a return, that's super good. If I can, or else I can try to win through the Dreams, Twister, Wheel of Fortune way, or just opening up the Howling Mines with 2 Dreams in play, or I can attack you with creatures. So there's a lot of different ways. I need to adapt to what you're playing and see how I can win. And you have difficult adapting to how I'm trying to win that way. And that's what I like about this game. Yeah. Because you can't just sit there and say, he's a Parfait deck. I know how to beat that. Whoops, there's a Suchi coming down. Oh, it's not a trick deck either. I'm not only winning through combo. So I think also the deck is, I'm not saying it's difficult to play against, but I'm saying I have different options. Yeah. That's great.
Okay, so Jesper Ejsing with Dream Parfait. So it's been fantastic. Thanks for coming on the channel and doing this little interview with me. And I hope we can do more of this because you're a neat guy. You're a very interesting person that's had so many accomplishments. And I love your artwork, man.
Thanks a lot. Let's talk again when I've been beaten at the championship here in 2 weeks, and then we can talk about what went wrong.
That's actually where a lot of the key learning happens in the development process, is analyzing the failures. Okay, it's been great talking to you, man. Okay, bye everybody.